Doug Ford just picked a fight with Ron DeSantis over Florida tourism, and spoiler alert, it went about as well as you'd expect. Ford claims Canadians are boycotting the Sunshine State and Florida's tourism industry is hurting. DeSantis responded by basically tweeting scoreboard with record-breaking visitor numbers and a casual flex about winning Stanley Cups. Yes, nothing says political dominance quite like reminding Canadians that your state stole Lord Stanley's trophy. Again. So who's actually winning this snowbird showdown, and why is Ontario's premier suddenly beefing with American governors while announcing billion-dollar tourism plans? Buckle up, because this is Canadian Insights, and we're diving into the political drama that's hotter than a Florida beach in July. Let's set the scene. Doug Ford is standing in Niagara Falls, arguably one of Canada's most iconic tourist destinations, announcing a massive multi-billion-dollar plan to transform the area into what he's calling a world-class tourism destination. We're talking expanded casinos, a brand new theme park, major airport upgrades, the whole 9 yards. The pitch? Keep Canadians spending their vacation dollars at home instead of flying south. Noble goal, right? But then Ford decided to take a shot at Florida, claiming that because of trade tensions and Canadian patriotism, people are staying home and Florida's tourism sector is feeling the pain. Except there's one tiny problem with that narrative. Florida's tourism numbers are breaking records. Like, legitimately smashing them. Governor Ron DeSantis wasted absolutely zero time clapping back on social media, posting Florida's latest visitor statistics and reminding everyone that while Ontario is planning theme parks, Florida is living in one. His response was basically thanks for the concern, but we're doing just fine without your polar vortex refugees. And honestly, the numbers back him up. Florida welcomed over 140 million visitors last year, and Canadian snowbirds make up a fraction of that total. So if Canadians are boycotting, Florida hasn't noticed yet. Now here's where it gets interesting. Ford's comments weren't just random trash talk. They're part of a broader strategy as trade tensions between Canada and the United States heat up. With tariff threats flying back and forth and political rhetoric ramping up on both sides of the border, Ford is positioning himself as the defender of Ontario's economy. He's telling Ontarians to keep their money local, support Canadian businesses, and maybe skip the annual pilgrimage to Disney World. It's economic nationalism wrapped in a tourism pitch, and politically, it makes sense. Ontarians love a good underdog story, and framing this as us versus them plays well when people are worried about jobs and economic security. But let's be real for a second. Most Canadians booking flights to Florida aren't doing geopolitical calculations at the airport. They're escaping February. They're trading snowbanks for sandy beaches and -30 wind chills for poolside cocktails. Ford can announce all the theme parks he wants, but unless Niagara Falls suddenly develops a tropical climate, Canadians will keep heading south when winter hits. That's not disloyalty, that's survival instinct. Toronto Sun columnist Brian Lillley weighed in on this entire spectacle, and his take is pretty sharp. He points out that Ford's increasingly hostile rhetoric toward the United States might actually backfire. Ontario's economy is deeply interconnected with American markets. Cross-border tourism flows both ways, and American visitors spend billions in Ontario every year. If Ford keeps poking the bear, or in this case, the alligator, he risks souring relationships that Ontario's tourism sector desperately needs. Americans might start thinking twice about visiting a province whose premier is publicly trash-talking their vacation spots. It's a risky game, and Lillley suggests Ford might be playing politics at the expense of pragmatism. Meanwhile, DeSantis is over in Florida basically unbothered. His state's economy is booming, tourism is thriving, and he's got the Stanley Cup victories to rub it in. It's the political equivalent of someone saying your party's gonna flop, and then you show up with fireworks, a DJ, and a guest list that includes half of North America. Ford might be betting on Canadian patriotism, but DeSantis is betting on sunny beaches and theme parks, and historically, that's a winning hand. Speaking of political battles that aren't going as planned, let's pivot to another storm brewing up north. While Ford is duking it out with American governors, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is dealing with his own mess. Caucus defections, internal grumbling, and a looming leadership review are threatening to destabilize the party just as they should be capitalizing on liberal vulnerabilities. Poilievre's strategy has been laser-focused on affordability, hammering the Liberals on cost-of-living issues, grocery prices, and housing costs. It's worked. He's been leading in the polls, and Canadians are genuinely struggling with inflation and skyrocketing expenses. But here's the problem. Some members of his caucus aren't on board with his approach. There are whispers of discontent, defections happening quietly, and questions about whether Poilievre's populist tone is alienating moderate conservatives. Lilley notes that affordability is still the #1 concern for voters, so doubling down on pocketbook issues makes sense. But holding a fractured caucus together while staying on message? That's a tightrope walk, and one wrong step could cost him momentum heading into the next election. The irony here is delicious. Ford is picking external fights while trying to unite Ontarians around local tourism. Poilievre is trying to unite conservatives around kitchen table economics while his own team fragments. Both are navigating political minefields where one misstep could blow up their carefully crafted narratives. And both are gambling that their core messages will resonate loudly enough to drown out the noise. So what's the takeaway from this beautifully chaotic week in Canadian politics? Ford's tourism pitch is bold, ambitious, and frankly, necessary if Ontario wants to compete long-term. But picking a public fight with Florida while Ontario still relies heavily on cross-border relationships feels like showmanship over strategy. DeSantis didn't just defend Florida, he flexed on Canada with receipts, and that's not a great look for Ford's narrative. Meanwhile, Poilievre's affordability message is strong, but internal party drama threatens to undermine everything he's built. Politics is all about perception, and right now, both Ford and Poilievre are managing narratives that could either solidify their leadership or unravel spectacularly. If you enjoyed this breakdown of Canadian political drama and want to stay updated on all the latest news, make sure to subscribe to Canadian Insights. We're dropping videos daily, covering everything from trade wars to caucus chaos, so hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Drop a comment and let us know, are you Team Ford or Team DeSantis in this snowbird standoff? And do you think Poilievre can keep the Conservatives united, or is this party heading for a split? Let's talk about it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.